In November 2023, the USS Carney achieved something extraordinary. In a single day, it shot down 15 Houthi drones and 4 cruise missiles headed for Israeli territory. Not one American sailor was injured. Not one missile got through. By every tactical measure, it was a flawless victory. But here's what the headlines didn't tell you. That single day of winning cost the U.S. Navy approximately $32 million. The drones we destroyed? They cost about $20,000 each. Do that math. We spent over 1,000 times more than our enemy to achieve a stalemate. Welcome to the most dangerous equation in modern warfare. We are winning every tactical engagement in the Red Sea. Our ships are undefeated. Our technology works, but we might go broke winning. This is the business of war. And right now, the spreadsheet is bleeding red. I'm your analyst at Tactical Future, where we follow the money of war, not the hype. Today, we're auditing the single most expensive military operation you've never heard about, and why it threatens global trade, defense spending, and possibly your wallet. Let's open the books. The primary weapon defending Red Sea shipping is the RIM-66 Standard Missile 2, or SM-2. Unit cost, approximately $2.1 million. That's for the Block 2 IC variant most commonly used. Each one contains a sophisticated radar seeker, a proximity fuse, a fragmentation warhead, and enough propellant to intercept targets at 70 nautical miles. The weapon it's shooting down? Often a Samad 3 drone, a modified Iranian design built in Yemen from commercial components. Estimated cost? $15,000 to $25,000. It's got a lawnmower engine, GPS guidance you can buy on Alibaba, and a warhead made from old artillery shells. $2 million versus $20,000, a 100-to-1 cost ratio. Every interception is a financial bleeding wound, and we've fired over 100 SM-2s since November. That's over $200 million in munitions alone, not counting the SM-6s at $4 million each, or the Tomahawks we've launched at Houthi sites. Why is this harder than Israel's Iron Dome? Simple. Iron Dome intercepts short-range rockets on predictable trajectories. The Navy is facing anti-ship ballistic missiles, sea-skimming cruise missiles, and drone swarms simultaneously, across hundreds of miles of ocean. Iron Dome's interceptor costs $50,000. Ours costs 40 times that. Different threat, different cost structure. Here's where it gets worse. Raytheon can only produce roughly 100 to 120 SM-2 missiles per year. Why? Specialized titanium components, radiation-hardened microchips with 18-month lead times, and a supply chain built for peacetime economics. Naval logistics wasn't designed for a sustained shooting war against $20,000 drones. This is a munitions shortage hiding in plain sight, and when those cells run dry, we face a problem no amount of money can instantly solve. Every American destroyer carries 90 to 96 vertical launch system cells. Think of them as armored silos built into the ship's hull. Once you fire a missile, that cell is empty. And here's the part that should terrify any logistics officer. You cannot easily reload these cells at sea. The Navy experimented with underway replenishment of VLS cells back in 2016 using a system called TRAM, the Transferable Reload at Sea method. They successfully reloaded cells aboard the USS Chosen. It worked, in calm seas, with perfect conditions, with a dedicated crane ship. It has never been adopted for combat operations. The equipment isn't standardized. The training isn't widespread. For all practical purposes, if you're in the Red Sea and you've emptied your magazine, you're done. So what happens? The ship sails 1,200 miles back to Djibouti or Bahrain. It pulls into port. Cranes offload spent canisters and reload fresh missiles, a process that takes 3 to 5 days if everything goes perfectly. Then it sails 1,200 miles back. Call it 2 weeks round trip. 2 weeks where that destroyer isn't defending the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. 2 weeks where commercial shipping is more vulnerable. 2 weeks where another billion-dollar Burke-class destroyer has to extend its deployment to fill the gap, burning fuel, wearing down crew, delaying maintenance. This is the cost of distance in naval warfare. The Navy currently has 2 carrier strike groups cycling through the region. That's roughly 10 destroyers and cruisers total, rotating patrol boxes. If even 2 ships are simultaneously cycling back for reloads, you've lost 20% of your defensive coverage. Against an enemy that can launch drones for the price of a used Toyota, But the costs don't stop at the military. Before November 2023, 12% of global trade passed through the Red Sea and Suez Canal. Oil from the Gulf, manufactured goods from Asia. It's the fastest maritime route between Europe and the Indo-Pacific. 14,000 ships a year. Then, the Houthis started shooting. War risk insurance for Red Sea transits has spiked by an estimated 1,000%. Some underwriters won't cover the route at any price. So, shipping companies made a choice: go around. Instead of the Suez, they're sailing around the southern tip of Africa, the Cape of Good Hope. That adds 10 to 14 days of transit time, an extra 6,500 nautical miles, roughly $1 million in additional fuel per voyage for a large container ship, plus crew costs, port delays, and inventory carrying costs. Who pays? You do. That $1 million detour gets baked into the price of electronics, clothing, automotive parts, anything shipped from Asia to Europe or the US East Coast. It's a hidden tax on global commerce, triggered by $20,000 drones and $2 million interceptors. This is how a regional conflict in Yemen drives inflation in Ohio. The supply chain isn't just a business term, it's a strategic vulnerability. And right now, defense spending is subsidizing the security costs that commercial shipping can't afford. The Congressional Research Service estimates the Red Sea deployments are costing the U.S. Navy between $4 and $7 million per day in operational expenses, not counting munitions. Annualized, that's over $2 billion. For context, that's the entire annual budget for the Coast Guard. So how does this end? The Navy isn't blind to the math. They're investing in technologies designed to flip the cost equation. The answer isn't bigger missiles, it's cheaper kills. Enter directed energy weapons. The Helios program, high-energy laser with integrated optical dazzler and surveillance, is already being tested aboard destroyers. It's a 60-kilowatt laser that can burn through drone airframes at the cost of about $1 per shot. Literally, $1 of electricity versus $1 million missile. Limitations? Weather. Lasers don't work well in fog or heavy rain. Range is limited to line of sight. But for slow-moving drones within 10 nautical miles, it's a game changer. The Navy plans to deploy Helios operationally by 2025, with more powerful variants in development. The second solution? Cheap interceptors. The Coyote drone, a tube-launched UAV that costs about $100,000. It's essentially a kamikaze drone designed to ram enemy drones out of the sky. Still not as cheap as a Houthi weapon, but 10 to 20 times cheaper than an SM-2. Layer your defenses. Lasers for close-in, cheap threats, Coyotes for mid-range drones. Reserve the SM-2s and SM-6s for the truly dangerous stuff, ballistic missiles and advanced cruise missiles. This is how you fix the math. The Navy of 2030 won't rely solely on missiles that cost more than a house. It'll use a tiered defense: energy weapons, interceptor drones, electronic warfare, and traditional missiles as the last resort. The goal isn't just to win tactically, it's to win economically. So let's close the books. The Red Sea conflict has exposed a brutal truth. Modern naval defense is unsustainable at current cost ratios. We can intercept every threat and still lose if we bankrupt ourselves doing it. This isn't about firepower. It's about the business of war. The U.S. Navy is undefeated in combat, but the real enemy isn't Houthi drones. It's the cost per engagement mathematics that slowly erodes readiness, strains budgets, and forces impossible choices between presence and solvency. Global trade routes are being redrawn. Defense spending is being stress-tested. And the solutions, lasers, cheap drones, smarter logistics, are racing against an adversary who figured out that you don't need to sink a destroyer. You just need to make defending it unaffordable. This is the war the headlines miss. If you want more hard analysis on the economics of modern conflict, subscribe to Tactical Future. We follow the money, not the hype. Next time, why China is watching the Red Sea very, very carefully.